Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here, Richmond Hill Golf Learning Center. We're on hole number 15 for Wisdom in Golf. And I'm going to hit an approach shot here, but the basis of this video, the reason for this video, I just came down from the clubhouse with my new golf bike. We're on hole number 15 where we got a little bit peace and quiet before the groups come in for the day and before I head back up to take my first lesson for the day. And I have a student of mine, Hugo. I believe we've talked about him in the past, where he has a tendency to start his games off quite nicely, where he's playing the first 4 or 5 holes and almost even par, and then he kind of loses his wheels. And what happens typically, and I know through the comments I've read on the forum, through the comments on YouTube and a lot of my other students, it seems to be a common scenario where as soon as you miss a shot, you start to protect. You start to wonder, well, what am I doing wrong? And I got to make sure I don't repeat those mistakes and things like that, instead of just staying on the task. And we realized when Hugo came back in for his lesson, I looked down at his legs and they're not moving. His legs are completely dead. So he's barely moving his legs, and his upper body's doing fine. His arms are moving fine, but there's no grounding, there's no grabbing the ground, there's no retraction, and you can see there's no kinetic sequence. If you look at sequence your swing properly or sequence your sports swing properly, Shawn Clement, and if you look at arms and body timing, an oldie but very goodie, the arm's coming, don't let it hit you. So notice how when the arm passes, the body has to be turned out of the way. Well, the only way the rib cage and the pelvis, which move together by the way, the only way the pelvis and the rib cage move together is if the legs move them. So here's what I want you to do. Stand up in your living room right now. Get into your posture. Remember, we've done this in the past. You get into your golf posture where you feel that you're using your glutes and your quads to secure the arches of your feet to the ground, like you're getting ready to heave a big sandbag into the back of the pickup truck. So you put your hands on your hips, turn your whole backside to the target. So notice my back is to the target. As you turn your whole backside to the target, how did you get there? Well, you're going to feel that your feet are grabbing the floor or the grass, and you're using your legs and your feet to turn your hips. Notice how you start 50-50, you turn, you're still 50-50. Put your arms in front of you, now you're 70-30, okay? So, if I go from here, and I want to swing, I want to turn my body as fast as possible toward the target. Did you feel how you went down to get the ground and used the ground to turn your body assertively towards your target? So now what happens if I do it smoothly? The legs are very quiet, but you're still using the ground to turn your body away. Now if I want to turn my body aggressively the other direction, see how my legs go down to get the ground much more firmly, the knees squat, the butt comes out, and now I'm using the ground to remove my body out of the way so it could turn toward the target. So you'll see Rory do this beautifully. You saw Tiger do that, in his prime. Hopefully he'll have another prime. And you look at Jack Nicklaus and Sam Snead, they all did that. So the use of the ground is your God-given kinetic sequence. So if you look at my sequence your sports swing properly, the baseball pitcher is going to the ground, using the ground to move the body out of the way, and it's creating a human slingshot. So you need to understand how your legs are moving your upper body, you see? So if we take a club now, and I want to throw the club that way, you remember my throwing the club video, very important video, and again, I can't stress it enough, make sure you're in a very safe place and make sure you're staying on task where you're throwing your club in the direction you want to throw it. Have a specific target, focus on that target. So if I'm focused on a pine tree over here and I want to take this club and I want to throw it toward the pine tree, notice how my legs, my brain says, oh, the pine tree is over there. Even though my eyes are over here on the ground, my focus is over there at the pine tree. my brain's got to go get the ground. So right away the shift goes into that left side. The left side is using the ground to move my body out of the way, so I have access to throwing to that pine tree. So I'm going to throw it without letting go. See how I'm using the ground to throw that instrument over there? So when you perform this task, your arm club unit, so if you look at loaded arms, Shawn Clement, you take your backswing, arm folds, wrist hinge. There's a very specific loading of the arms. Once you've completed that backswing and you throw the club at the target, brain goes down. See how the lower body, we talk about how the lower body clears and pulls the upper body through. So that is a kinetic chain that you should not usually have to think about, but you need to be aware of what happens when you stop, using that lower body. So throw it out there. So now I feel like I'm using the ground to throw my instrument toward the target. Now, the reason that Hugo got into that predicament is after missing a couple of shots, he goes, wow, what am I doing wrong? I got to make sure. So imagine the architect, and he's got this big design table in front of him, and he's getting ready to make a very, very precise drawing on that table. So his body is going to be frozen like a statue. The brain freezes the body so he can be very still to make those very fine manipulations. While the lumberjack, on the other hand, he's got a nice heavy axe. Imagine a 5 to 7 pound axe here. I'm going to use the weight of the axe to heave and chop down my tree. So when I'm heaving in the backswing, if I freeze my body and don't use my body, I'm going to knock myself out. So when I heave the axe, because the axe is so heavy, instinctively the body is going to use, the brain's going to use the lower body, it's going to use the legs to move the body out of the way so my axe can gather that range of motion. Now I can use the weight of the axe to perform the task. So you see how everything falls into place when I'm using the weight of the instrument. So the club is light enough to manipulate. So if your goal is be careful, watch out, make sure I put the club on the ball, you will freeze the body and it's over. You're going to lose a lot of distance, you're going to hit yourself, the arms are going to get diverted all over the place, it's just going to be a big fat mess. Versus, I want to go that way. How do I want to go that way? I want to throw the club in that direction with assertiveness, but with ease. So here we go. Feel the weight of my instrument, because this is what I'm throwing. Throw it out there. So yes, I threw it out there. Yes, I felt the peak speed of my swing out here. Yes, I felt the weight of the club release me in that direction. So that's the feel that we want to take to the target. So now when I'm getting set up for my shot here, I'm going to have a little 7-iron here from about 175. I'm going to take it to the left side of the green and fade it back to the flag, nice and smooth. So I pick my intermediate point in front of the ball. I have a spot right there. So if you don't have a spot, you have my authorization to put a little dent there so that you get your alignment proper. So I got my spot. I line up to that. And it better not be a competition, by the way. A friendly match, please. Club in the center, ball forward to the club. So now I'm going to do a practice swing, a little dry run above the ball. So I want to feel a nice throw in that direction, right over the intermediate point. Gather, throw. Yes, I felt like I used my legs to throw the club in that direction. So then I lower myself to the grass. I feel like, hey, if I throw the club in the same direction, does it feel like the sole of the club is going to cut that dandelion stem? Yes, it does. All right. What did that throw feel like again? Oh, yeah, it feels about like... Started on the pin, fading away. Well, that's in the right bunker. So let's have a go at that one. Enjoy. I actually lucked out. It's a little short of the bunker right here, so I got an easy chip. Let's see what we can do. So I've got a line a little down in the rough, not too bad. I want to land my ball right on the first cut. right here. This clock is straight in, right? So now all I'm doing is I'm focusing on how much momentum I need to cut this dandelion stem. So for those of you who have trouble with distance control, you just need Goldilocks. Remember our pitch swing? So I take a practice swing that I feel would be way too soft. That's not going to make it. One that's way too strong. That feels like it's going to drop near the hole and then go past the hole, and one in between. Now that feels pretty good. That feels like it's going to land right there on that fringe. So I need my intermediate point right there. So I got a nice little blade of yellow grass right there. I'm going to go over the left edge of that. Open the face a tad. I see the dandelion stem in my mind, so my eyes are between the leading edge of the club and the ball, and I'm seeing the dandelion stem. I'm going to feel the weight of my arm club unit, and I'm going to use that weight to cut through the stem over that intermediate point, right there on the first cut. How much momentum was that again? Oh yeah, I felt about like that. Oh, get in. Oh, lipped out. We'll have to settle for the par. See you in the next one.